Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sports Surf Neat. We are back here live on YouTube Live. My name is Charles Yonga. I'm the host with the most, as they say, with Beetlejuice. Today, I got my tag team partner here with Marshawn Powers. How the hell are you, Dave?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Finally able to get back on the radio, man. I felt like it's been, I don't know, at least 2 weeks since we've been talking. It ain't even been that long. It's been like 4 days. But, man, this time is just dragging right now.
It's a long weekend. It's a long weekend. Yeah, man. So how's your how your classes going so far?
Good, man. Good. I'm still moving along. We got just a little bit under a month left here. So just trying to finish strong and take a little break after that, man. I'm looking forward to that break, that I'm gonna get a couple of weeks, where I don't have to worry about any classes, and it's back to I'm taking one summer class. I'm not taking any more than one. So I'm kind of just working on that transition, getting ready to enjoy the summer.
Excellent. Yeah, same here, man. Classes have been kicking my butt, trying to get all this research in for these, big projects, trying to get them done in time, and hopefully make them good at least, so
Absolutely
quality grade for it. And so any big projects you got coming up pretty soon, or is like anything particular?
Well, in one of my classes, we have a debate speech that we have to record, so I have to work on that. I got a book review that I'm working on, and then just small tedious assignments here and there. But outside of school, man, I kind of been doing a little DIY projects around. I'm still here in Cleveland. I'm trying to help my mom upgrade her house. Her house is still kind of 1970, 1980-ish, trying to bring it to the 2020s. So I've been trying to, do a little small things like put smart thermometers, a couple smart TVs, help her upgrade her internet to a little bit over 1 megabyte. So just small DIY projects like that, man, be able to put my time somewhere else.
That's great. Yeah, I'm kind of the same thing myself. I'm mowing the lawn every week, so something like that. And then a couple of projects I got coming up. I have a big feature article writing about the symbiotic relationship between sports and bars and restaurants.
Really?
Yeah. And then I'm doing another project on Title IX,
Okay.
the history of women, Title IX, and then a couple other podcast issues, whatever. So keep myself busy while we're stuck here at home. So, but first things, but we got to talk about our guest today, who is close friend to both of ours. We consider him a mentor, and he has been in this business for quite a long time. We have our good friend here, that's Mark Gray. That's Mark with a K, Gray with the A, joining us today. Mark, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm all right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you, Mark. We got you. Marshawn, can you hear Mark?
Okay.
Okay, excellent.
As long as we connected in there, I'm good.
All right, perfect. So, well, first things first, how are you doing today?
Oh, another quarter. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like I said, you've been a journalist for quite a long time. You said you recently were furloughed by the Afro. Talk about that. How's that situation working for you?
I mean, it blows because we had just started, corner on really into this new world of video conferencing and turning it into programming. So you can go to at least my Facebook page, The Sports Group, all the way down and see my conversation you helped edit with Maryland Congressman Anthony Brown, which I thought pretty interesting. And I just had a conversation with my good friend, Steele, proud, Knight alumnus, formerly of the Baltimore Sun and the San Francisco Chronicle and the Sporting News. Well, he and I were talking, and I think we're getting ready to do the same thing that you and Marshawn are doing, and reach to the people that we met to do a bit of a podcast that I think is going to be pretty interesting. So stay tuned. Before I conversed with you guys earlier today, a conversation with him, and we hope to be able to launch something this week surrounding the legacy, and I hate to bring this up for Marshawn, of the Chicago Bulls, whose legacy did begin in Richfield, Ohio, with a Jordan shot over Craig Elo. Ooh. But I digress.
Ooh, it's like right in the kidneys right there. Ooh, that had to hurt. But so you said the Afro was
But if even Craig Elo got over it, I don't think Craig Elo ever got over the fact that his kid always looked at Jordan as his favorite.
Ooh, he goes to go home to hear that. Daddy,
oh man, that's a tough one right there.
I know.
Well, hey, Mark.
Well, we all have our Willie Stargell moment.
Yeah, but hey,
remember, and I go back to the '79 as a Orioles fan, and I remember wholeheartedly how the Orioles season in my life shed 3 or 4 years by virtue of the fact that, well, Willie Stargell hits a 3-run homer off of Scott McGregor, and it basically cost up a World Series that we was leading 3-1. So yeah, I'm still not over that. Been what? Almost 4 years. I'm still depressed.
That's funny you say that because I just watched Game 7 of the '91 World Series. That's one of those games.
I'm there for that. That was even more depressed.
Yeah, that was. Oh, you were there. Yeah, that's right.
It was.
That's right. It's like
the Jack Morris versus John Smoltz game.
Yeah, that was the depressing game for me. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened.
That was my first World Series I covered.
Word. Oh, really? So
yeah.
Talk about that real quick. How was that trip going? Following the team, being on the beat for the Atlanta Braves, going to the World Series. What was that experience?
Well, it was mind blowing because to have been down there for the season prior, and I think the Braves may have won 62 games, and then John Sherholtz comes in, and the whole paradigm shifts. They immediately got good. I mean, and I think the biggest person that they brought in was Terry Pilton. You know, but I think they got Juan Berenguer, and he messed up his elbow, and you know, David Justice had just come up. Ron Gant was in the peak of his career, and they hadn't quite become that dominant team, so they were playing with house money. And then, if you recall, that was a series that was done by every team winning all its home games. And that was before the better record determined which American League or National League team would hold. Brady had a record, but they still had to go on the road. I think there were a lot of us that felt that if they had played that game in Atlanta as opposed to in Minnesota, things might have been different. But I do remember vividly Game 5, which was the last game in Atlanta, and Kirby Puckett's locker, the late Kirby Puckett. And there was this young cutie named Hannah Storm came in and kind of bum rushes because CNN was doing Sports Tonight at that time, and they were on a real tight deadline. And I remember Kirby's words. It was nice coming down here. It was great, the tomahawk and all of that. But I'll guarantee you that we will play a Game 7, and we'll see what happens from there. And then if you remember in game number 6, he hit the home run in like the 10th inning.
Yes.
That won the game. Mm-hmm. And then went on and won an epic in game 7. So it was a tremendous series. It was just that the team that I had a root and interest in had fought. The experience was just unbelievable. It gets cold in Minnesota. Everything seemingly is in a tunnel. And but the electricity was just bananas, man. It was just it was the first time that you realize, wow, This is what you get into the business for. And, you know, to be a part of the drama of the competition is a great moment, great experience. Just unfortunate that the team lost. But by then, I'd learned how to cover a devastating loss. So when it happened the following year with the Blue Jays, I was more equipped to handle the deadline.
Jeez. Now, imagine those games with no one in the stands, though. Like, it wouldn't have the same emotional impact. So, like, how you see that, you know, moving forward when it comes to games now, covering games as journalists here, or, you know, for student journalists like ourselves, where do you see the future of covering sports is going to be head towards?
You know something? It's a lot easier being a reporter than it is to be a fan. Because one thing about it is, when you're a fan, you like consumed by what's happening in that moment. You're living and dying on every pitch. You know, whereas you're a reporter, you're writing. You're trying to figure out, okay, if the game goes in that way, then I got to shift it here. If that and other, so you got, and then you got working stories. You got to figure out how much you're gonna dump. If you're on, I mean, I had more relaxed deadlines, but even to this day, man, it's a lot easier for me where I don't have a vested interest to watch a game, because when you're a fan, you're tied up. I mean, it's just, you're just nervous. You're hanging on the moment. As a reporter, you know, the bills, you got to step outside all that and just handle the moment. And I think that's certainly what I'll do play-by-play, because you get consumed in the moment and telling the story and the pictures, words, so don't have a chance to get caught up.
Look, can you guys still hear me? I think I'm having issues.
Yeah, I can still hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. All right. So, yeah, because it was breaking up a little bit when I was listening to you, Mark. But you said something about doing the play-by-play and how, like, you could be it's like almost being the fan, being in the moment of the play. So, and it says harder to be. He says harder to be a fan now than it is to be a reporter. If I heard you correctly.
Oh yeah, because your emotions are involved as a fan. Oh, yeah. As a reporter, you're kind of like Mr. Spock. It's like, I can't get caught up. And I think sometimes people in this business do, in fact, get caught up, and they forget that they're supposed to be objective and that there is a deadline. And that's the worst thing that you can do. You got to divorce yourself. And then at the moment you send your story, or at the moment that your broadcast goes black, if you will, you can then have yourself a responsibly spirited beverage and come down and then deal with your own personal depression. Oftentimes with the same group of reporters traveling with from your town, you know, which was funny because in '92 when Sid Bream scored, everybody was depressed heading down to the field in the locker room. And then by then, they had gotten to the point where Francisco Cabrera was at the plate and he gets to hit and win. And all the depression turned to elation, and it was crazy. It was better than the night when they beat the team that they only won the World Series. I just don't want to do that to your broadcast partner. I keep finding these memories that are eating away the soul.
Man, he just raining on my soul. It's all That's good, man. I mean, at the end of the day, man, I mean, it can't.
How does it work like that, Marshawn? That one of the great moments I remember just sucked the life out of you.
I was just, it's crazy because yesterday I was just watching. Yesterday I was watching. I took some time off of doing homework, and I started watching. I was like, man, I can't keep watching like these Browns like terrible memories. So I started watching like all of the winning seasons in the 80s, and then what happened? They all ended in terrible memories. The drive, the fumble, all of that. And I'm just like, man, nothing ever happened like how it's supposed to happen, you know? So
I hate to pile on, Marshawn, but
so you old enough to remember Brian Sipe, huh?
Yeah, I do remember Brian Sipe. Yeah, I remember Brian Sipe.
So then, yeah, then you know, Bernie Kosar was your formative years.
Yeah. I was just. It's funny, man. You brought up Bernie. I was just talking with a couple guys that from around the city in Cleveland. We was just bringing up a list of like who would we say like the best like Browns, like top 5 Browns of all time. And it's like, man, you have to put Bernie Kosar on that list. You know, that man. No matter how many DUIs that man have gotten in Northeast Ohio, he's still a legend, man. He's still a legend at hand. So no, Bernie's a guy, man.
And what's left of his mind, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like I said, I hate to pile on, Marshall, but I just finished watching Game 1 of the '95 World Series. It wasn't very good for the Indians there. So just
Francisco Mejia. Oh my God. I remember, man, I was 5. It's crazy. I was 5 years old. I remember my mom made us go to bed early, but there was no way. I remember just listening to it, just in bed. Man, that's just crazy how we should have won that game. We should have won the World Series. Every World Series we get to, it always ends terribly because of something.
Yeah, it's like 16. But hey, Mark, I have a question for you. Since you were with the Braves during that prime run, there was a couple of Braves that had birthdays today. I don't know if you knew that or not. Today's Greg Max's birthday. Yeah.
About 48.
He is.
Good job on that dog. Who's quietly one of the funniest people I ever met in sports.
Yeah. So
Don't let that story or look behind trip you out. That dude has a dry sense of humor. And every once in a while he just goes off the wagon and really gets it in. Greg's a funny dude, man.
Yeah.
He's really hilarious. Wow, he's older than me.
Yeah, 1964, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 2014 Hall of Fame inductee.
Prehistoric.
Yeah. Look at these numbers of his. Did you ever get a chance to meet and talk with Greg? You said he's a pretty funny guy. He's a kind of he looks like a nerd, but you wouldn't think he's an athlete. So, did you tell like a funny
dude. Story? I got to keep it clean, man, because the joke that he would tell on the back end, you'll ask him a question, and then he'll shoot something back at you, and it'll have like locker room overtone to it, shall we call it? He was the best at locker room humor in one-liners of any athlete that I've ever been around. There's one that stands out, and I'm a little hesitant about using it on this server. Yeah. So what we'll do is next time we get together, you remind me. I'll tell you one of these comments that he has, and if I think of a
PG version,
a cleaner one, I'll share that with you later.
All right. Okay. Well, you also whose birthday today as well is this gentleman, David Justice. Also has a birthday.
Oh, that dude's schizo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cray.
Oh, Justice? Oh,
sorry.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, that man.
Justice is not.
Yeah. Actually, had a pretty.
I don't understand why, because he was a good-looking dude.
Yeah. Married to Halle Berry.
Respected as one of the best players in the National League for a stretch in the middle of the 90s, where he balled out. But, he and Lonnie Smith were kind of like the undercover militants of the locker room. They shared the autobiography of Malcolm X. And during one moment where Justice chose to express his displeasure with what was going on with the Braves, when they celebrated the 25th anniversary of Hank Aaron's 715th home run, they gave the team the option of whether they could sit into the dugout and watch the ceremony, or they could stay in the locker room. And so naturally, all the black players went out to honor Hank, and there were a few guys who were white on the team that just straggled and stayed in the locker room and didn't care. A couple years after that, they celebrated Dale Murphy going into the Hall of Fame, and Justice didn't like that. Justice was like, I'm not going out there to celebrate Dale Murphy because you're making me go, but we weren't supposed to go to see Hank. So I'm not going down for that. I was like, wow, all right, I can admire how the stand that you took on there. And the night that they won the National League Championship Series, I believe in '92, Dave and I had a conversation became everything was cool. Then he was like, shut up and get that microphone out my face. I ain't talking right now. I'm celebrating. So, he was as schizophrenic as was. But you kind of got to give him the pound because heck, he did marry Halle Berry.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. He got him. He got him a woman from Northeast Ohio.
Together, although they had that casting look.
All right, Mark, I got another name for you whose birthday is today. And it is this gentleman here, Mr. Hustle.
Hey, I'm grateful that Pete Rose.
This goes on for a while, by the way.
I'm sorry, man. I mean, dude, the numbers that you post right now just speak for themselves, man.
Yeah.
I mean, how are we going to keep guys out of the Hall of Fame when, if you're going to keep Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame, you can't have the Houston Astros remember the world champion.
That's true.
Sorry. This is, I don't necessarily think what he did was so egregious. I don't think what Barry Bonds did was so egregious. You can't really have a Hall of Fame when you got broadcasters in and Pete Rose and Barry Bonds are not.
These are facts, sir.
I'm sorry. Recipients who have their place in Cooperstown, you're not more important to the game than Pete Rose nor Barry Bonds. But that's just me.
I'm on your side of that one. But I'm going to switch up here. This young lady here, also her birthday. Cynthia Cooper. What do you remember about Cynthia Cooper?
She used to coach at Prairie View. And that's why I know Coach Coop got to know her pretty well. When she was coaching, everybody's 6 degrees from the HBCU. Don't forget that. And when she was cutting her teeth, that's where she learned that she was really successful. A tremendous basketball talent, but to talk the game with her, to legitimately understand that she a basketball fan. And I don't know, with this new world order of women getting spots on male benches, why she hadn't been one of those people to get a call. Because she's well ahead of the curve in terms of motivating, game prep, in-game adjustments. She was just she a tremendous basketball coach and a person, and I think that the HBCUs were fortunate that we had her around for quite some time, and she one of my favorites. She one of the favorite people I met in this game.
And we got a couple other athletes whose birthdays today. Marshawn, this is your boy right here.
Joe. Yeah, man. I remember Joe like yesterday. It's funny, man. Man.
Friendly High School.
Yeah, man. Thor watched him, man. I remember when they drafted him, man. I was so against them drafting that guy. I was like, man, we need a quarterback, not a cornerback. But actually, man, what Joe Hayden means to the city of Cleveland. You ever? What's one of those players that you could say on the Redskins or the Ravens? That's one of those. All right, for the Ravens, Terrell Suggs. You know, one of those players that's been there pretty much should have never left the team. You know, and it was Joe Hayden. You know, Cleveland felt like, 2 years of him staying hurt. You know, they shouldn't have paid him. And, he went to the other side and still doing the same thing. They made another Pro Bowl, made the playoffs.
He went to
the
that guy.
Side. He had a sneaker shop, bro. He had a sneaker shop here, so cold. Oh my God. I never got a chance to go, but he closed it and they changed it to something else now. But man, with Joe Hayden, he still is crazy. He still does stuff here with the city. Like I know every summer, him and Jarvis Landry. I hope they have it this summer. It would definitely bring the city together. They have a kickball tournament out where one of the minor leagues, the Lake Erie Captains play, and they always have it in that stadium every year. So I mean, Joe Hayden is still attached to the city of Cleveland. I mean, I hope he comes back here. Retires here. Does his last couple years here. Maybe put him at free safety. I mean, he still got some time left, man. I would really like to see the DMV kid back in Northeast Ohio. He should have never left.
Yeah, you guys are about the same age too.
Yeah. He's about a little over 6 months older than me, I want to say.
I remember when people started first high school videos on the internet, and we were doing like a fledgling show in the early 2000s in the DMV, and Joe Hayden was like star of stars. I mean, this dude was quarterback and defense, and I remember Urban Meyer up to see him play at Friendly on a Friday, and may have even flown back home on the set to make sure that he could coach. So Joe Hayden was a bad man. His whole family, all three of the Hayden boys, did big things at Friendly High School. And quite frankly, that football program hadn't been the same since the Hayden family left. And of course, Coach Early, who I think got a bad deal. But Joe Hayden, oh, wow. Fringe Hall of Famer for the era. If he'd have played on some better teams, I might be having a different story.
Yeah, I put it to you like this, man. Like when they broke down the all-decade team, the corners it was Patrick Peterson, Darrell Revis, Richard Sherman, and I think it was Chris Harris. I felt a little offended on that because, man, I felt like Joe Hayden should have been on that team because if you look at it, if you want to be honest, let's look at what top receivers are in the AFC West. You at that time you may have seen Dwayne Bowe come out. I mean, the Raiders really didn't have nobody, and the Chargers really didn't. I mean, they had a couple people come out, but they didn't have any top tier talent. Joe Hayden had to guard AJ Green, Chad Ochocinco for a couple years. And the best receiver of the 2010s, Antonio Brown, and gave him a run for his money. So to leave him off of that team, man, I felt like that was a little disrespectful because that man was guarding the best of the best and wasn't, was up there as one of the best man-to-man covers. He wasn't the best, but I mean, he wasn't no slouch either. I think Joe Hayden should have definitely been up there over Chris Harris, but I mean, the way it ended, Chris Harris was on that good defense with Von Miller and went to the Super Bowl and won one. So I think that right there made the game in the nod. Joe Hayden was on a struggling Browns team since 1999. So you don't win, you don't get in.
It's a tie, the ring breaks the tie.
Oh, that's what they say.
Yeah. If you don't win, you don't get in.
And we have one more birthday today. We have the Spider, Anderson Silva.
Now, I haven't met him.
Oh, yeah. I
remember. And him being, I guess I actually say that.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
I remember he was one of the original.
Yeah, I remember I saw it. The first fight I ever saw of him was 2011, I want to say. I want to say it was sometime in 2011. That was my first. I've never paid attention to UFC before. Never cared about UFC before. And when I saw him. It was a pay-per-view fight, and it was in Seattle, and I saw it live, man. And saw him knock the dude out within like 20 seconds. I was like, oh, yeah, that dude is the truth. I've been watching him ever since, man. I'm so mad I got to see his career so late. You know, he was already on his. It was like he was at the top of his. He was at his elite status, but you know, on the right side of declining. Never got a chance to like actually see that man do some damage, man. But Spider was that dude was a no-brainer Hall of Famer, first of all, and one of the best UFC welterweights of all time.
Yeah, because 16 fight win streak in the UFC. I mean, he definitely had a downfall towards the end of his career. Like a lot of fighters do. He probably stuck around too long. But I mean, when he was that streak of 16 fights is like that's unheard of, unmatched. And he did it in 7 years. Like the second longest is Jean St. Pierre with 15 over 10 years. So, you know, that dude, he was not only is he a great fighter, but he fought all the time. He was a headliner. He was a draw. He was a main event. You know, so happy birthday to all these people here, by the way.
He and St. Pierre.
Yeah.
The two guys who sort of put the game on the map.
Shamrock was probably one of the first big guys of MMA. The Gracie family. You think maybe like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz? Are you thinking about those two guys?
And then yeah,
Randy Couture, maybe. Oh, Rampage and Rampage Jackson. I think that's like the early, like the mid 2000s. That's when like it kind of blew up into like a legitimate, you know.
Yeah, that was like, you know, that Kimbo Slice thing.
Yeah. Now Kimbo was like a street fighter. He was like a YouTube fighter. He went to the Ultimate Fighter, that TV show they did, like a reality show, where if you win the reality show, you get a contract with the UFC. He went there and made it, but he was fighting in Bellator, I think, as well. And then he did some random street fights on YouTube. So yeah, but yeah, that dude was a monster, by the way, Kimbo Slice. Wow. So, but that is the birthday list today. But Mark, I want to get back to your thoughts on what's going on with journalism as a general when it comes to how this will be taught to student journalists. You're a professor at both. You're the newspaper advisor at Prince George's Community College and professor at the University of Maryland, College Park. What do you think about when it comes to teaching the next generation of journalists the skill sets to succeed in this current environment?
Man, it's a challenging time. I will be with you for this generation, because you don't know, you know, what how the coronavirus is going to affect the amount of jobs when kids graduate right now, and how to prepare them for the new world order that you guys are dealing with. I think what we're dealing with right now is technology is going to make things a lot easier. So you're going to see a lot more maybe home-based broadcasts or things like that, which puts us all in a position where, all right, it's great to work out of the house, but then what does that mean in terms of, you know, being at events? You know, I will say that if you come along right now and you're used to the technology, that's great, because you don't have to worry about learning how to use the equipment. You know what I mean? They had a distinct advantage because you know the tools of the multimedia trade, and you haven't been like so indoctrinated into the old school ways that you find yourself, it's hard for me to break these habits. I think sometimes, however, there's some who get lazy because they don't want to do the work that you got to do in regards to research. And that's the problem of all. because I came on research with newspaper. You'd read Sports Illustrated, the sporting news and magazines that came out once a week, and you would just now you got it in your hand. And anybody who doesn't do the research, when you can go to your phone or your tablet or your computer right now, and you just want to research because you're bored. That's the overwhelming challenge right now, because this is a very unfair game. And what people don't understand is the industry don't owe you anything. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot more unforgiving than it is forgiving. I think what happens is the real stars of the business end up going out and showing everybody what can be and making it so easy, but you don't appreciate the work that they all put in. And that's why I look back at like Stephen A. and Skip Bayless and Rob Barker and Chris Broussard. You know, met Rob at the 91 World Series, met Chris Broussard at some NBA playoffs when the Knicks were relevant during that time. And these guys worked hard. I mean, they worked hard to get to the point where they can get paid ridiculous sums of money and don't have to work as hard as they used to be. Because being a beat writer is hard work. And, you know, to the extent that they're, you know, it'll be interesting to say, to see how the business changes. But, you know, Marshawn and I were having a conversation last week, and I was telling him that, you know, with this pandemic, there's going to be some things that are going to change in the business. I just don't know what they are. And lo and behold, you know, you get the furlough thing, you got all that kind of stuff. So you got to be willing to change with the times and go with the flow and you know, play the game like they want you to play it, because they'll find somebody else who will.
I hear you. So what are some of the old school, obviously, skills that you learned in your years that will translate to no matter what happens with technology or, you know, access? Like, what's the old school? Mm-hmm.
You got to write. Writing and interviewing, and not in that order. Because if you want to know something, you got to know the questions to ask. How do you know the questions to ask? You research. You put the time in. Secondarily, you got to, you know, it's a business that you got to make enormous life sacrifices. You know, to the extent that it may cost you your family. You got a high rate of divorce. You got a high rate of people that are dying prematurely because of all the travel and stuff like that. I mean, you know, when I think about, you know, I had the honor and the privilege of, you know, working with Stuart Scott. He's gone. Ralph Wiley, one of my idols I got to know real well. He's gone. Brian Burwell. You know, part of that HBCU mafia that was doing it big. He's gone. I mean, so many people, and those are the people that just at the top of my head, you know, guys that you think about. So to put it all in its proper perspective, I mean, it's a challenge in businesses that really presents real life challenges. And I know what grounded me was having my daughter. Made me realize there was a lot more stuff that's more important than making a deadline, being cool with somebody that's on TV, and you know what I'm saying? The athletes. I mean, at the end of the day, they all are regular folk just like us. They got their own problems. They just are out there right now. And you got to interact with them. And speaking of that, you know, let's offer up some condolences to Karl-Anthony Towns and his family. His mom passed away from COVID-19. And, you know, we all saw the very emotional speech that he gave on Instagram last week, and for it to play out like that, and we all know money wasn't an option as it relates to her health care because he write a check, and so those are the kind of things, business versus reality, and it's a business where it consumes you and you miss out a lot. Just hopefully when you get to a certain age you can still enjoy it, or you can have the multi-million-dollar life-changing moment where the network boots you, but you get a $6 million severance package like Jamel Hill, and you be straight for the rest of your life. We should all land on our backside like that.
I'm telling you, man. Hopefully, once I get to that point in my career, that we have another president that want to be kind of a dictator. You know, I always got that in the back pocket. You know. I need that $6 million payment. WWJD. What would Jamel do?
I mean, you gotta admit, that's a bad woman when you get called a president, a white supremacist, and get paid $6 million to go away.
That is great.
And then still pick up some money down the line. Hey, you know, love it to death. I'm like, yeah, you know, pivot ain't easy. Sometimes it's necessary. Somebody once said, and she definitely pimped the game there.
All right, so one last round of questions for you, Mark, from me, definitely. What have you been doing entertainment-wise when it comes to no sports on TV? Have you been watching any like throwback old school games, or are you watching any alternate? You know,
I have watched some old school games, and I'll tell y'all this: that as much as we caught up on LeBron and the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, we don't appreciate James Worthy enough. If you go back and watch some of the old school basketball videos, both of I believe what it was, the 82 NCAA tournament and those great Laker teams, man, James Worthy is probably the most underrated and underappreciated forward in the history of the game. And this is a guy that's in the Hall of Fame and has four NBA titles?
I think so.
You know,
Big game James.
It's crazy. But you look at what James Worthy was doing. He don't have both hands. He didn't have both hands like Giannis and LeBron do. And he certainly wasn't as big and as powerful, at least. But first step, finishing off the break, taking charge of games. And it was funny because I'm a notorious North Carolina hater, and there's no way you could grow up as a Maryland Terrapin fan and have anything nice to say about Dean Smith and his Carolina teams that would routinely cheat Lefty Driddell's Maryland teams in Carmichael Auditorium in a building that didn't have a real scoreboard. So they used to flip the numbers on the baseline down there while wearing those canvas black Converse shoes. Not that they scarred me at all, but you understand where I'm coming from. But Worthy was just incredible. So that's the one thing I've been taking out. I've been telling everybody. The thing I've noticed about that, watching the NBA stuff, James Worthy, who's I don't think was top 50 at 50 during the NBA, got to find a way for him on top 75. I mean, it's a glaring omission. I mean, he was as close to being that dude, and if he had gone someplace else and done what Kawhi Leonard did, we may appreciate him more. But I mean, you know, you playing with the Lake Show, man. How great is that? I also began to appreciate, you know, well, young Tom Brady was ridiculous, and I don't think that Brady's ever going to get the credit that he deserves for being as good a passer as he is, but the ball placement and the short windows that Tom Brady made early in his career were ridiculous.
And for him to win Super Bowls with the immortal, legendary group of receivers, you know, Deion Branch, David Givens. I mean, Welker may make the Hall of Fame. Julian Edelman may make the Hall of Fame, but that's a different world. But there are a lot of players around him offensively. I mean, you just look at what Tom Brady's done. It will never be said that he played with a Hall of Fame running back. I mean, I don't think Marshawn Lynch, no, not Marshawn Lynch, Garrett McGarrett to the Hall of Fame. I don't think
Corey Dillon, remember?
Yeah, Corey Dillon. I don't know.
Borderline.
You know, that's what I was getting confused because Corey Dillon and Marshawn Lynch are kind of in that same boat from being like the Northwestern guys from the Northwest. Young Brady was just phenomenal, and I did find myself watching a little bit of last year's Masters, and you know, watching Tiger. Got a chance to see Tiger do it twice, his first and his last, and it was a totally different vibe watching those two. So, long story short, I've caught up on a lot of the crime dramas. I'm a big crime drama guy, so been doing a lot of Chicago PD. Criminal Minds is kind of sick.
Really?
And then I caught up on movies
I watched
too.
that.
Yeah. The answer is off the chart.
Really?
But you like to keep crying because it's one of those situations where sports are part of my DNA. And there's a certain amount of misery when you know that you don't have sports to turn to. I mean, last night I watched the old Monday Night Football game. You know, Brett Favre's first trip to his first game against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers with the great Morgan State tight end Vishanti catching passes from far. So you know, you look back, you relive, you think those moments, and you just wonder if you ever gonna see them again, if they're back, you know. And heck, maybe I see one of y'all guys calling the next great moment, you know, during a World Series or a championship moment, and you know, we look back on them like that. But you know, it's you laugh to keep crying because, quite frankly, it's pretty depressing. And I'm one of those people that want to see sport back underway, but I only wanted to get back underway, safe fashion. And this is an unseen. I mean, you know, you can put up metal detectors in the stadium to keep weapons out. You can, you know, heighten security to cut down on the prospects for, you know, a jump off that could be fatal. You can't do nothing with a virus. I mean, it's not like, you know, you can't have fans in the stands sitting in their individual bubbles. So that concerns me. You know, that concerns me a lot because 9/11 changed the way that the game was covered. Now, you're looking at the pandemic, it's going to change the way that the game is watched. And you got a lot of these stadiums in Vegas and in Los Angeles, these huge, you know, multi-billion-dollar arenas, and you just wonder how they're going to survive and sustain if fans aren't comfortable going back in there. They got like almost 100 seats that you got to fill in Los Angeles. And I don't know if they'll ever do it. It's going to be an interesting time to watch how sports and Adam Silver, quite frankly, leader of the commissioners movement. I mean, he'd have to be the top seed in the commissioners. I mean, if you're going to be recruiters or the favorites for sports commissioner of this time, there's Adam Silver and there's everybody else. Silver gets it, and I'm not quite sure anybody else does. I mean, so hopefully Adam Silver will figure it out, save sports as we know it.
Cool. Last thing is for me, it's like what's next for Mark Gray? What we got? What can we look for you in the future?
Oh, me and Neil Gray do this podcast just like you and Mark. No, we're gonna launch this week. We'll have a noted writer of some renown who just book and is an expert on Chicago sports. So we're efforting to make that happen. So we'll let you guys know, so you can let your hosts know, and then we can have a great party like we do now.
I like the way that sounds.
Yeah, man, we gotta, we gotta be there for each other, and this way that we can be there for each other, one way or another, because you definitely need a diversion that will take your mind off of what's going on in the world, but you still gotta get through it. And that's an enormous challenge right now, psychologically, all of us. So, to everybody out there, peace and blessings. We all are struggling. And if you got, at least if you can be around family, that counts for something, or people in your life that are to you. And I know with social distancing, the toughest challenge for me is dealing with not being able to see my daughters. That's a killer. I mean, when you drop off her Easter basket and you can't even go in for a hug, that's a tough one to swallow. But, she's asthmatic and you never know what you've been around. So just bite down the bottom lip and just be like, see you when I see you. And that's the thing that's most important. The game's coming back. I want to spend time with Macas, and it is what it is. We're gonna push the envelope creatively. We do have an election, so y'all, you actually helped me edit the Anthony Brown interview, and we're gonna have to do more like that, because I think those of us in this business really have a calling right now to make sure people become active in the process. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. No matter which direction you're going to go in with the election, you become a part of the process. And we are sort of like the soothsayers, the grill who give that bridge information. And if you can do it in an entertainment fashion, and that's what we were working on doing right now. It's just remaking the brand. You'll find yourself remixing your songs a lot. In this business, you gotta be like DJ Khaled. Remix, Steve's sample from somebody else.
We the best. Marshawn.
Yeah, man.
No, man, I just been listening, man. It's one of them days when you at the bar, man, and you listening to the older folks talk, man. Yeah, man, and you just absorbing in the information
hey, watch it there, young blood. Ain't no old.
I got my red solo cup over here.
That's a nice sweatshirt, got, bro.
Yeah, what's that sweatshirt?
I put one of them on.
Huh?
Your sweatshirt.
Oh yeah.
Sweatshirt,
yeah. Oh man. Everybody that seen me around Cleveland,
variety, yes.
Yeah, everybody that seen me around Cleveland probably these past 2 weeks has probably seen this sweatshirt like a million times. I don't have a jacket, so this is my jacket. So No, I'm wearing this
Where-
religiously, man.
Now, where's old boy at? Because I've been trying to show him love and you know, hey, say, hey, thanks. You know, let us give you some love because I rocked the Sherry Nicola podcast and got favorable response.
Yeah.
He said on a gold mine.
I gotta get the link to his Instagram because the one that I have is like just for the actual company. So I'm gonna get his and send it off to you. But he just did an interview with somebody and he had the sweatshirt on, but Chris Paul had it on. You know, I mean, everybody. Gary Owen, the comedian, he had it on a week and a half ago. He had a green one on. So I mean, everybody's catching on to it, man. This movement is coming strong, man. This movement is coming pretty strong, man.
Yeah, that one has the look of cross colors, and now cross colors is coming back. I never thought that cross colors come back. Dude, cross colors when I was at Morgan. That was the late '80s thing.
Yeah.
So now they bringing cross colors back. FUBU.
Yeah, they bringing what? FUBU's been back. What else have I saw? Feli. People.
Well, I still got a pair of Felines. I never got.
Yeah. Pair of white Felis. Oh, we had Grizzly joining us here today. Grizzly is about to join us right now.
Oh man, yeah, man. But no, man, I just been listening, man. Today, I let you guys kind of, do the old man talk. I just sipped on my young man drink. I'm actually over here.
Yeah, we want to say first things.
So Charles, you got to put up with the old man all the time.
Yeah, I'm the old man. We got the young man just joined here. Grizzly's on the line here.
Hey man, hey, what's good? Glad to get in on the chat and get in on the convo going on.
Yeah. How you doing, man? What's good with you?
Just pretty good. Just had to reorganize this garage just now. Just had a lot of storage stuff back in there. I had to get down. Weather's changing, so I had to mix the clothes around and stuff. So trying to get on top of that while I had the time. So I was like, dang.
Seems like everybody's doing a lot of housework.
That is something that I've done. I have trained up dramatically, and then it seems like the next thing.
Yeah, it blended all over. I had started around like 1:30, and it blended a little past 3, and I was like, oh crap, let me get this finished.
So that's where we are. Who's the Monster Energy guy?
I saw Daryl. It's Grizz. He used to attended PGCC with us during the mid 20-aughts.
Yeah, the 20-aughts.
Is that what's called, the 20-aughts?
Was it not the was it the 20 teens?
20 teens.
Called the 20 teens, yeah.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, the 20 teens. Anything after 12 is the 20 teens.
Okay. Got it. The 20 team. Okay.
So Mark Grizz is a huge basketball head. I mean, he loves that team in Houston apparently for some odd reason. But you ever want to talk some basketball with somebody, this gentleman here is a good person to call.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I'm not much of a college fan because it's so hard to keep up with so many of the teams and so many of the players. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. But when it comes to NBA, yeah, I definitely love my NBA basketball.
All right. Well, is that silence there?
Okay.
But
get ready to go.
Yes, I was about to say, yeah.
I gotta get ready to go educate the youths on the Maryland's campus.
Yes, that is true.
I do have class at the top of the hour. So
okay.
Got time for you, so can't wait to do it again.
Definitely. Thanks for stopping in.
Hey, thanks for having me. And who's got the drinks? Who's picking up the tab?
Grizz was late, man. They always say the last one to come in got to pick up the tab. Grizz,
we want all rails and happy hour.
You forgot the journalism, the journalist mantra. We got deep pockets and short arms.
Deep pockets and short arms. I like that.
Yep, deep pockets and short arms, man.
Like I said, thanks again, Mark, for joining us. We'll catch up soon.
All right, deuces, fellas. Appreciate it.
All right, peace.
Thank you, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Mark Gray, Mark with a K, Gray with a A, joining us here on Sports Serve Neat. Gave us a good, I don't know, about 50 minutes of content that we can just, they can absorb all that knowledge he laid out on us. Unfortunately, Reggie, you missed it, but he told some great stories. He talked about his first World Series covering, the Lampreys challenging the Minnesota Twins. Talked about some of the Braves players from back in the day, so it was a really good conversation.
Word. Yeah, definitely check the YouTube and catch up on the convo because I was like, oh crap, I had to make sure I can make it in time, but
No
definitely
worries,
gonna go back in and check on it.
No worries, dude. I mean, it was a good time. Just go back and listen to the replay. So what's good with you, man? How's your life going now? This past week, you say you did some housework, did some cleaning. Yeah,
man. So pretty much just been trying to apply for some some better opportunities out there as far as jobs and whatnot. With the whole not sure if it was the CDC had came out with a statement saying that most concert venues and or big large groups of people will be shut off to the side. I mean, or sporting events or concerts will be shut off to the side until next year, fall of next year. So, yeah.
Your boy needs to find a new gig, apparently.
Automatically. Honestly, my job's a great job. I love where I'm at. I love the staff. I love how they treat people. I mean, it's the best job I've ever had in my life. And I'm 26. I mean, I haven't had so many jobs, but I had enough to where I can say this was the best job I've ever had in my life. And I say job, not career, or so it's the best job I've ever had in my life. So it's just like for me to have to leave, believe me, it pains my heart. And it hurts me because being in a concert venue is this love. Like I'm around music. I'm around people who love music. And what's better than that? So, it'll be better for my music career because I have more time on to the side after work. If I get a little 9 to 5, I got time off of work. I can work on my music. I can go to a little pub if I want to. I can, hang out. Like even when you wanted to go to the XFL games, bro, the hockey game, everything clashed with my anthem schedule, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Now I'm like speaking with this too. It's just like, oh, now I'm definitely This is kind of like the last straw for me. So, you learn things, and sometimes you just got to move on for something. Not all great things last forever. So,
Word. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, gentlemen, because like I said, it's 4:30. We got a little overtime here with Sports Serve Neat. We can call this last call for the gentleman here at the bar. So before we do that, we got to do this here.
You said what?
Easy. So, what's your plan for the rest of the evening? How you going to enjoy the rest of your night after you log off here?
Shoot, I think I'm gonna just probably play some 2K. Eat the rest of this Alfredo I had made. And take this shot of tequila with y'all.
Word.
That's pretty much it right there.
Sean, what's in your right
Take
cup?
a shot for me. I'm actually about to get off of here. I'll take a shower right quick. I got a friend that's selling some of those AirPods, the new ones, the pros, for an undisclosed amount. No price name. I don't want nobody messing up my deal here on YouTube. So I'm gonna go pick up these AirPod Pros for this undisclosed amount, this cheap amount that I pay under price, under retail. You know how we do it, Grizz, under retail. Man, I'm about to go pick them up, man, and then I'm gonna go over to my uncle's house for a little bit. Social distance over my uncle's house, play some 2K.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, it ain't nothing. Then probably do some more homework and just chill.
Man, I'm hearing that we can't go into certain grocery stores and some shit without masks on. They have to be a specific mask, or do they have to be a face covering?
Just face covering. Just face covering. So, they suggest.
What grocery stores is that?
Any store, any metro.
Anything in PG.
Is that Maryland?
Yeah.
I think it's most all Maryland. Yeah.
Pretty much most of America by now.
So, Well, gentlemen, this is cheers to you fellas for another edition of Sports Serve Neat.
Thursday. I'm gonna give him a little
Thursday,
preview of Thursday, man. We got NFL talk, man. You know, it's we'll be a week out from draft. I think it's appropriate now to start talking about the draft. We're gonna have one of my guys, Noah, come on from Howard University. Go Bison, you know. HU. That's what they say.
Hey, that the real
so we're
HU?
gonna have him on here, and we're gonna have a guy on here that I think we all three know well. Old Evan from the great Bowie State Bulldogs, man.
Really, the voice of the Bowie State Bulldogs.
The voice of the Bowie State Bulldogs. Evan is gonna be here, and we're gonna talk some. I'm gonna let you and Evan. I'm gonna let you, Evan, and Noah go at it about one of the weakest conferences in all of football. You know what I mean? You got the upper hand on them because the Eagles are going to win this year. But, you know, I'll let Evan try to convince you that Chase Young is going to make a difference in the NFC East. He's going to be like the quarterback of the NFC East. Well, I'm just sitting over here with Baker Mayfield and our new jerseys that, you know, we get tomorrow. So, we're going to have some fun Thursday. Grizz, you going to be here?
Yeah, I'm trying to get up on my NFL knowledge.
Yeah, hey man, you in DC, you're a Redskins fan. Just get up.
Whoa, wait, huh?
Oh
man.
Like that.
Oh man.
See,
now with that
record, sir. What? He's like, what?
Not with that record, sir. You have to pay me over $8 million to be a Redskins fan.
Come on, man. That's where you from, man. Stick to where you from, man. I'm a Browns
I'm
fan.
from Maryland, so I guess Baltimore.
Where they at?
In Baltimore.
In
well, Baltimore.
Were you closer to Landover or Baltimore?
Well, why does a DC team play in Landover? I didn't know that.
This is why.
Sad. Sounds pretty sad to me, man. Give the DC people what they want and what they deserve to see their team. It'd be better if the Baltimore Ravens played in Landover, but you know they're the Baltimore Ravens, so.
Well, actually, it'd be better if the Baltimore Ravens never left Cleveland, but
it's not working sports.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that on Thursday.
So okay, John, I said this has been the 414 edition of Sports Serve Neat. Cheers.